Symone Sanders Townsend, you have been all over this in terms of anticipating some of these problems in these specific counties. What do you understand about the way this has played out over the course of the night and the reaction to what's happened with the Texas courts?
So I talked to a number of people on the ground from the Texas Democratic Party because, again, the parties are the administrators of the elections in a primary. This does not apply for the general. So in the general, the state is in charge of the election. So if people think, oh, are we going to have this particular issue come November? No, could be a different issue, but not this one. Lawrence and I were chatting in the green room, and he said, does this also affect the Republicans? And I thought it was a very good question. I asked the chair of the Texas Democratic Party, and the chair said it is their understanding that the judge's order is specific to the Democratic primary because, again, they didn't do a joint primary. So it is only the Democratic votes in Dallas County. The particular law that is being cited, Texas Democrats at large, they, if we look at the lawsuit that was filed by the Dallas County Democrats, not the Texas Democratic Party. I say that because there are factions within the Texas Democratic Party that say, Texas law is very, very strict. And it's very strict about when people can vote. Texas law, a law from 1985, says that the voting in Texas is from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. There's only been one time in our recent history since that law it's 40 years. The law is older than me. It's only been one time in our history, in May of 2024, that an extension has been given, and that was very specific. In Dallas County, a judge said there was a disaster because power was out in polling places in May of 2024. And because the power was out in about 100 polling places, they needed to extend the voting in those polling places. And that voting was extended for that very particular reason. But tonight, what we are seeing, to the conversation you all were having earlier, is the first time that this 1985 law has been challenged directly in this way. And yes, it is the Ken Paxton, who is a candidate on the ballot. Again, this doesn't affect them. It's just about the Democrats. They are weaponizing a law that has been on the books for 40 years to throw chaos into what is happening in the Democratic Party. The last point I'll make is this. There are a lot of votes out there. No one's going to count their chickens before they hatch, or their eggs, if you will. We have not heard from I've reached out to people within the Tallarico campaign. They are not saying whether or not yet they are of the belief that Jasmine Crockett is, that we will not know tonight. They are reserving their comment. So if they have some comment, I'll come back. I know Eugene is also talking to them. But I think that we are in a place now where come tomorrow, there'll be some people that'll say, Jasmine Crockett lost this race because of what Republicans did. And then there'll be some people that say, I think she just lost this race because she didn't run a good campaign. Either way, the narrative on this is now up in the air because of what the Republican in Texas decided to do to play in the race.
I was going to say that to me is the most important part of this. I don't want to get lost in the weeds here, people. I really don't. This is an orchestrated, coordinated effort, period. It has been from the very beginning.
I just want to know, but it is the law. That is the point I want to make here. It is the law.
It is the law. But we've already seen now in Texas and across this country how the law can be weaponized and used to full effect when you want to move the needle in a certain direction, if you want to stop something. And so I just find it, why does Paxton care whether or not Democrats, given the confusion that was wrought in this situation, want to vote for an extra 2 hours? Doesn't change his numbers, right? Doesn't change what's happening on the Republican side. So what do you care for? It's not about where we're standing up for the law. Well, you're reaching back 40 years plus to stand up for a law that no one's had to invoke before. So, I just think we need to understand what's going on here, very much to what Stephanie was saying before and what a lot of us who've been working in this space and hearing on the ground, that all of these things are storylines that are being created that will be used later on. And we just need to understand how they're going to be used now so we recognize it when they're used later.
There is one other element of what's going on here. It's being reported out by the Dallas Morning News that some of the confusion, some of the chaos, some of voters being told to go the wrong place may be the fault or may be attributable to the fact that Texas Republicans just changed all their congressional district boundaries right before this election, and they maybe didn't follow through on all the logistical work you need to do to make sure that people still get to vote in the right place after you've done that. We've got more reporting on that.